Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of the Crowded Booth. This is Bryce Kuhn. I'm alongside TaQuon Marshall, quarterback of Georgia Tech. Thanks for coming on with us today.
Thanks for having me.
TaQuon is from Harris County, from near where I lived, and we were able to play football together when we were younger. And so he was allowed us to come in here today and just talk with him about his experiences coming from Harris County and now on the national stage here at Georgia Tech. And so TaQuon, just share a little bit about your story, where you came from, and where you are today.
So I'm from a little small town called Harris County. I stay in Catawba, Georgia, which is within that region. And like I said, very small town. Everybody knows everybody. We grew up together, going to school together, played football together. So it's a really close-knit group where we are. And kind of coming out of there, it's not really heard of. You don't really hear a lot of people coming out of Harris County. So it's always something special when someone makes it out, as we would say nowadays. So that kind of started my journey. Love playing football, love playing sports in general, and football was kind of the niche that I wanted to get into. And I saw a lot of opportunities as I grew older. Georgia Tech was a great opportunity for me. I decided to come here going into my senior year of high school, committed early, and ever since then it's been a crazy journey. I mean, I've enjoyed every bit of it, and I'm still enjoying it as I'm here now.
Yeah, you're getting ready for your senior year, and obviously this past year was a big year for you, being able to start against Tennessee and kind of exploding on the scene there and having a good year yourself. The team didn't end up doing it as well as you wanted to, but there were a lot of close games that could have gone either way. What can you say about this past year for y'all? What was that like? You kind of settling into a starting role and getting your rhythm going as the season began, and what are you looking forward to until next year?
Like I said, it's been a crazy journey. As always, it starts off in the off season. Everybody's working real hard. You get close as a group. We went into the season, we had high expectations, but like you said, some things didn't fall our way. But at the same time, I enjoyed the process, the journey of it. Being able to play with a bunch of great guys that left this past year, just being close with those guys and playing in games and trying to make plays with each other. It was great. So we didn't end up like we wanted to. We didn't go to a bowl this past year, but this offseason we've been working really hard, still grinding it out, trying to get everything back together to get Georgia Tech back where they used to be. So I'm really looking forward to this upcoming season. I think we got a lot of things in store, and I'm ready to see what we're going to put out on the field.
You talked about when you were in high school, you saw a lot of opportunities. One of those was you were able to play with Jordan Jenkins, who was able to go to the University of Georgia and now playing for the Jets in the NFL. What was that like to have a guy who you knew was in college and he's kind of done this before that you can kind of call on for help? And you and your fellow teammate Tate Crowder, who's over at Georgia now, what was that like to have guys before you go into college and be able to prepare you for that process?
It's great. I mean, you kind of learn the ropes as a young guy. So when Jordan was a senior in high school, of course I was a freshman, so his family kind of took my family up under their wing, and we used to go on visits with them. They kind of showed us the process of how everything works and how recruiting actually works down to the nitty-gritty. So it's great having somebody as a mentor, really, and I can still hit him up to this day and ask him about things, at the college level or even at the professional level. So having somebody like that can be your mentor and also one of your close friends that you can talk to at any time and hang out with anytime. It's always great, just seeing the success they had and knowing that you can have that same opportunity.
And you were able to play with a special group for 4 years as well. We were talking about before the show, a lot of those guys went on to play at the next level. We talked about a bunch of your offensive linemen, whether they were playing D1, D2. Harris County was able to put a big product on the field at the collegiate level. What was it like to play with those guys? And y'all had a special group, and I even remember going to some of y'all's playoff games, and you got to play against Deshaun Watson your junior year, and that was obviously very special with the success that he's had. But high school football in the state of Georgia is very competitive at every level, and y'all were able to go up against some great guys. What was that? How do you feel like that prepared you to play here at Tech? It's obviously a different game transition, but the level of play in high school was very high, especially for y'all's level.
Oh, it definitely prepares you to compete, to be able to compete at a high level. Like you said, Georgia high school football is very competitive, and it's well known. I mean, there are a lot of guys that come out of the state of Georgia that go on to play big D1 football. So It prepares you to play at a high level. Like you said, I played with a close group with the guys that were in my class. I mean, we went from playing together in middle school to kind of growing together even closer all throughout high school. But, playing against that top-tier competition, it prepared me at what I was going to be ready for at Georgia Tech. So it's always great being able to, especially playing in a high region, because a lot of times in the lower regions, not saying that there isn't any competition, but a lot of the guys go to the bigger schools, which are in the higher regions. So it definitely prepares you.
Going back on this past year, what was one of the turning points you feel like for you in your development? Your first 2 years, you obviously had the position switch that maybe not a lot of people know about. Mm-hmm. And when we were talking in the fall, you were able to say, that allowed me to know the offense a little bit better and give you a better understanding. Mm-hmm. How do you feel like your development changed as the year progressed?
Well, I definitely grew as the weeks went on. I was definitely learning from Coach Johnson, learning from the guys all around me. Although I grew myself over the 2 years before, just playing different positions and being able to sit behind Justin Thomas. But I still learned, week in and week out. It's kind of crazy. But just taking that next step each week, trying to progress and trying to bring the guys with me that were around me. Just trying to make plays for the team, just all sorts of things. But definitely just progressed, learning the offense more, learning my reads more, just reading the defense better, being able to process things a lot quicker. It definitely just progressed week in and week out as the season came to a close.
You talk about, battling for a position and week in and week out. It's a constant competition, and competition breeds excellence. It brings the best out in each player. What do you say to, you have freshmen coming in all around the country that it seems like they're getting better and better, and this past national championship was a great example of that with the two quarterbacks from Georgia and Alabama. What's it like coming as a freshman on campus to a massive D1 school from a relatively small town like you were and trying to make a name for yourself but also contribute to the team as a freshman?
It's different because 9 times out of 10 when you're coming out of high school, you were probably that guy for 4 years. So coming to a school where everyone is that guy, you just really have to work hard no matter what. And you're going to have a role regardless when you come in as a freshman. If you play early or if you don't, you're going to have a role. So you just have to remember your role, and then when your time comes, which is what my mom always told me, just make sure you shine when your time comes. So you just have to be ready for your opportunity, and when your opportunity presents itself, just go out and show what you can do.
Yeah, you were able to play a little bit your freshman year. I remember watching, and then last year, learned from a great quarterback, Justin Thomas, who did a lot of great things here at Tech for the program, and then kind of take the reins this year after. And I'm sure a lot of people didn't see this, but it was a battle throughout the entire spring practice. I know Coach Johnson was kind of quiet on who the starting quarterback all up until game time, until I think ESPN's put the frame of you up on there and showed people that you were going to be starting that night. What is it like to be able to see guys around you succeed? Guys like you saw Jordan Jenkins. He's had a couple games this year that he was like Defensive Player of the Week for the AFC, and that's got to be awesome. Something awesome to see, the guy that you played with for a year and were able to see, and then guys like Tay Crowder. I know. I think Tay had a comment from, I think it was the Ledger Inquirer, about how he really wanted to tackle you. He moved from running back, a premier athlete, moved from running back to linebacker and has made that transition. What's it like to compete against guys that you went to high school with, and especially with Tay, the rivalry that is there?
It's always fun. You enjoy it because at the end of the day, you're always going to be boys, but on the field, definitely there's going to be that edge that you're trying to get over the other. But every time we get a chance to play Georgia or I get a chance to play against Tay, it's an awesome feeling. I know this past year when I saw him on the field, I kind of wanted to smile at him, but at the same time, we were in the middle of the game. So, but it's always fun. I played against him when I was younger. I played with him, so I know his ability, and it's always great being able to see him succeed. And even when they went on to play in the Rose Bowl and the national championship, I'd text him, let him know, I'd be watching and stuff, and congratulate him on the big play he had even at the Rose Bowl right before halftime that he probably didn't really realize until after the game how big of a play it was. But, congratulate him on that and congratulate him on getting to the national championship because that's always a big accomplishment. So it's always great being able to see the people that you grew up around and play with be successful. Also, along with Jordan, when he got Defensive Player of the Week, I think it was, like twice. He let us know, and I told him how proud I was of him. And, because that's a big accomplishment, especially being at that level. So it's huge, but it's always great being able, like I said, to see the guys around you, be successful.
Now, you were able to play this past year against a lot of great competition. I know y'all had the one game due to the hurricane that you weren't able to play. But specifically playing against Georgia this past year, you were to play against TaQuon Smith, who from Montezuma, not too far from where we were from. What is it like playing against a talent like that and knowing that he's going to be a very excellent player at the next level and having a game plan around someone like that?
It's kind of tough because he's all over the field. Raquan's one of my good friends that I met my junior year in high school at our Rising Seniors All-Star game. He's a great player. He can fly around, and he's going to be successful. I mean, as you can see, I think he's projected to go the first 15 picks. So, and that it speaks for itself. I mean, everyone saw how great he was all over the field this past year. So it's always tough being able to game plan against someone that dynamic and that can be anywhere at any moment.
And you talk about that the brotherhood of guys playing Georgia high school football, whether they do go to Georgia Tech, or Southern. The guys going everywhere. I mean, we talked about guys like Tyler McGarvey going playing at Cincinnati, and that's kind of the thing you have common. You're able to kind of bond over guys that played at that level and know how hard it is to, play against weekly competition. That those guys are going to go to the next level. What could you say about that? And then, obviously playing here at Tech has been a surreal experience. This past year, playing in Mercedes-Benz, one of the first games ever there, that was an unbelievable experience for you all. And although it didn't end up the way y'all wanted it to, what could you say about that and how that launched y'all for the whole season?
Well, knowing that we were going to be a primetime game, everyone was really excited about when we first heard about it. And also opening up in Mercedes-Benz, we were going to be the second game in there on a Monday night, so everyone was really excited. We got to practice in the stadium a week before the game, and it was just crazy walking into it, how big it was, and how we knew how loud it was going to be because everything was like echoing off the walls when we were in there. So we were going to be really excited, and just being able to play in front of so many people on such a big stage. That game, even though we lost, that game kind of boosted us the next week and the week after. Just knowing, like, hey, we know what it feels like to lose. We don't want that feeling to happen anymore. So it boosted us. Everybody was really excited to play the next week, even though it was a short turnaround, like a 4-day turnaround to play Jacksonville State. But it kind of gave us the energy throughout the rest of the season for sure.
And you talk about the turnaround playing Jacksonville State. That's not a program to overlook. A lot of people overlook the FCS programs, but Jacksonville State's one of the most successful FCS programs in their history. Heading into your senior year, as we wrap it up here, you had a very successful junior year, learned a lot of things your sophomore year and freshman year. What are you most looking forward to in that year, and what do you want to accomplish?
I'm definitely looking forward to getting back out on the field. First of all, I mean it's been a while. I'm definitely missing it. Although you have to put in the work in the off season, but after a while you're just ready to put the pads back on and get around everyone and hit and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to that, and also just looking forward to coming out and putting on a show in front of the fans. I know they're really looking forward to and ready for us to get back out there. But I mean, the goals this off season are the same as every other off season. Of course, you want to make it back to the ACC championship game and get your ACC title and get to the national championship. But we're really just gonna focus on 1 week at a time and just try to be the best Georgia Tech we can be this upcoming year and see where it takes us. Of course, we're looking for a winning season and, like I said, get back to the ACC championship game. But we're going to take it 1 week at a time and see where it goes from there. But I'm really looking forward to the senior year. I'm going to try to come back out and do the best I can like I did this past year. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, as a senior, talk about getting back to the old ways. I know about 4 or 5 years ago, Georgia Tech had a phenomenal year playing in the Orange Bowl. Even as a senior, if you can lay the foundation for what it looks like. I mean, I know a lot of schools are able to do that. Clemson was able to do that a couple years ago with, like, Taj Boyd. They laid a foundation that, 3 or 4 years down the road, they saw a championship. And even though they didn't get to be a part of that, they knew that they had a part in that by, setting the foundation. I know that's a lot. You have to establish a winning culture here. And, you know, obviously last year didn't go the way you wanted to, but that's going to go a long way in establishing that. But we just want to thank you for coming on today, man, and thank you for letting us take some of your time, and thanks for speaking to us. And I know everybody that's going to be watching and listening to this from Harris County is going to be glad. I know you said you hadn't been home in a while, so you can go ahead and say hey to your mom if you want to.
Hey, Mom.
So, yeah, definitely thanks, and thank you for letting us come here. We are here at Georgia Tech and just interviewing with TaQuon Marshall, and you can check us out on Facebook, iTunes. We're also on SoundCloud, and go make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. Once again, thank you, and
Thanks for having me,
y'all
man.
have a great afternoon.